Hi, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the heavens and the earth, the waters above, the firmament, and the waters below, and how the world was created, and the cycle, and why the earth is shaped like a circle, and why, if you take the factors and the numerics to the beginning of Genesis, chapter 1, you get pi. And why we take the factors and the numerics at the beginning of John, you get phi, which is the Fibonacci swirl, the golden ratio, the Ark of the Covenant, the golden rectangle. You know, the exponentiality, the infinity swirl, which is also a circle. And it's also a cross. In the beginning is the Alpha. There's also the Omega. Because things go back to the beginning, it's the cycle. I am existed, the command. And the command, I am existed towards God. This is on the cross. It says, Father, receive my spirit. And the command, I am existed, God. It created God. So, just to reiterate, in the Alpha, I am existed, the command, a chi command, a spiritual command, a frequency that, if you look at the stars of heaven, they look like frequency, sound, word, spirit. When you have certain thoughts, it creates a frequency that travels faster than light itself, nearly instantaneous, because it's all within your head, as the Matrix said, because we live within the Matrix. I'm going to explain that as well, because it's all here. I'm going to break it down like you never heard it before. And that command with him, that light, that frequency, that energy, that spirit, that command was towards God. And then it became God. And that's how you get everything in Genesis done. The same now after the cross, and the Father having been commanded to receive his spirit, being commanded, but also willingly, because they are one. This is why it says the same, which is God. I am existed in the beginning. So now he's in the beginning. Now he created also. That's his command. The beginning. And he was towards God. Because the God that was before the world was in the beginning, verse 1, that had this command was God. He needed to create a manifest material God, because this is how God didn't need a creator. He created himself. He shined from the eternal non-existence, the spaceless timelessness. It doesn't need a creator. It's all possibilities. And he shined forth the possibility of God, because his spirit hovers on the heights of the waters. The waters are the spirits. They're the realms. They're the possibilities. There's lower possibilities and there's higher possibilities. The higher possibilities are greater. That's why his spirit flowed upon the heights, the face of the waters, and why there was darkness and lack of light, which he is light, he is energy, he is spirit, all that good stuff, all that order and stuff like that, all that fractal, that ever expanding golden ratio that John, the beginning of John, is telling you numerically in the words themselves. But on the lower end, there's bad stuff. So there's chaos, disorder. That's why it says, all who came before him and were not him, they're liars and thieves, because that's all there is on that lower end of things. And there's echelons to the heavens, as you might call them, because it's all just the Spirit of God. The firmament is a division between the two, but it is also heaven itself. It's like this middle ground. That is exactly why everybody that does DMT sees all these endless fractals, all this Fibonacci swirl stuff, all this perfectly expanding order. They're like just seeing the tip of the iceberg. And it's quite amazing. It's something you have to really grasp that, and I'm gonna help you do that. So I'm gonna continue going through the Word, and that's why Jesus said, "Give me the power." It's another command he's making. Give me the power that we had before the world was. In the beginning, he had the Word already with him. You're gonna see this. It's more clear in Genesis in some ways, but these two explain each other. You need these two witnesses for things to really be collaborated. Even in the Bible, you have to have two prophets kind of collaborate something, like Second Ezra and Revelation. They kind of collaborate each other, and they explain away each other's weaknesses. Okay, so in the beginning, that's before the world was the command, and the command I am existed towards God was to become God, and the Word became God. That's Jesus. Now this is my story right here. The second witness, first witness, second witness, and that's why he says when you lift up the Son of Man to where he first came from, you'll see that me and him are one. When you lift him up, on that stick, it's symbolic. It's symbolic of what was going to happen, and this is why he says, unless the wheat, pass on and germinate and make more, it'll be alone. The Father alone had glory. He alone was eternal, him and the Son. So he gave up his Son so there'd be many. Obviously the Son's not going to die and stay dead because he's a spirit. So he just went back where he came from. And that's the bread of life that comes down from heaven. That eternal, that lasts to eternity, gives you eternal life, welling up eternally. Fibonacci swirl, like infinitely getting greater and greater. That's the power. That's the outpouring of the Spirit of God. That's the waters. The Spirit of God is waters. It's mostly spirits. The firmament is more like a division between the two. So that this is why people that mess around with negative spirits, they don't really open a portal. They're made in God's image, so they're causing that to become manifest, just like how the Son of Man is really the Father. And that's why Jesus is the Son of Man. And that's why the Son of Man comes second. And that's why the Son of Man was sealed till the end of time, because the Father or a great season. And that's why Jesus made the story about the parable about the Father and the Son. And the Father's in this faraway country called the future, the end of the world, because he rested on that day. And there's this tag team thing. When he's resting, his spirit comes out. And because that's the only way they could do that, this possibility. Because he stayed in the eternal beginning, since his spirit is so powerful, is able to become God of this world and make this matrix, this womb, this word came from him like Eve came from Adam. It's a clone. It's a clone. It's just things got messed up as we left Eve. Not Eve, Eden. It's kind of funny because, she's representative of the womb. And I just said we left Eve, which is symbolic of saying we left the womb, which was the Garden of Eden in a way. Because it was one of the places in heaven, clearly. And seems to be connected to some rivers in Africa. But anyways, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Okay. The same was in the beginning with God. Okay. So now this is when the Son of Man comes. Saying what? Because he's the beginning. And that's why it says, he's a man of war, he's a man. Jesus is the Son of God himself, he's God, but he's the Son of God at the same time. It's very interesting because it's the Spirit of God. It's the only Son he really had. So all things were made by him. Without him was not anything made that was made. See? And that's why he has all the power of the Father. Because he is the Spirit, he's the power of the Father. He has it all at that point. When Jesus comes, he has all that power. And, that's why he does things no man can do, not even the Son of Man. The Son of Man does things that are pretty unique as well. Like shaking the earth and the heavens. Because the same was in the beginning towards God. Towards God. So now he got into me. I am existed in the beginning. Now he commanded that. Like when he was on the cross, he said, Father, receive my spirit. Commanded that. And that's why he knew I was going to come. And, he had me sealed to the end, though. He even said it in their face. He sealed them to the end. Made the command probably right there, but I'm pretty sure he, based on Genesis, he already did all that. Before all this, any of this manifested, you'll see. With, towards God. But he's already there spiritually, but he's going towards him. And the closer it gets to him, in our realm, we have what we call time, but it's really just process. The past is non-existent. The future is non-existent, except the end goal. It's like just two things, like a command, and then where you are and you're processing your way there. And it literally can change the time, the past, called Mandela effects. Because once that command's made, it's like it always was like that. It's just like the never-ending story. It was always like that. Once Bastion asked for strafe, he just got it. That was the only way he was ever going to get it. When Bastion asked for certain other things that were more technical, like courage, he had to face very daunting things that were very challenging, even with his great strength. But he somehow overcame them and gave him a lot of courage. This is what people call miracles. And you have a lot of glitches in the matrix, a lot of miraculous things, because it's just not the person's time. Because this world is a matrix. God is in total control of this world. But there's a war in heaven. There seems to be some rebellion in heaven. And because heaven's in the middle ground, So it's got all these possibilities it can work with, and it has it's in between matter and material, like permanence and decay, and in between that shape-shifting ability. Not in between, but they have a shape-shifting ability because they can change. They're in between the infinite possibilities and the finite possibilities that lead to death and all that kind of stuff. And just get worse and less the lower you go. And so in the middle ground, they have a very good advantage of being able to shape-shift and change forms and stuff like that. So they saw this advantage, and that's why there's been this complication in heaven. I'm going to get into that in a second. So yeah, let's just give you a little bit more understanding while I'm here. All things were made by him, and without him was not made anything that was made. And by the way, heaven is Jesus Christ himself. He is the division he is the bridge. You can't get to the Father except through him. And you can't get to him except through the Father, because they're interchangeable. I'll get more into that in a little while though. But he really is the bridge from down here. And I'm down here, for example. So you can't get to him from heaven except going through him to get down here. Because my origins had to be here because he had to bridge me over another realm in order to get back to him. You have to technically go through the flesh, like me, basically, and then you get to him. But you have to ascend up through the Son of Man, who is that bridge. That's why they say that they see angels and all that ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. You see, I just did that off the top of my head. That's had to think for a second. That's why I figured it'd be easier if I just waited a second. But I wanted to look at, Genesis, but I'm not that far ahead, but it just came to me. So that was good. But yeah, it's really, he's the bridge as well. They're both the bridge. Like they're both one. So, anyway. Saying was, and that's why he called himself the Son of Man when he got on the cross. Before that, he called himself the Son of God. This is why he was like, now the Son of Man will be glorified. He glorified me because, see, he gave the command again. It's so amazing. Praise God. Praise the Most High. The same was in the beginning towards God. See, he's giving the Alpha. He's in me, giving me the command. He's like, Father, receive me. Now you'll be glorified. And he's like, towards God. Gives me the glory we had before the world was. We. He started calling himself the Son of Man. And he's been saying it the whole time, the whole story, commanding it, the whole story. People don't realize that his words have power. So that's why he said, I'm not going to judge you. My spirit, my commands that I've made will judge you. It's called karma. It's this dark energy that empowers everything. You call it causality, but you don't even understand the gravity and the very fundamentals of your body. We're all put together through simple commands. Like gravity itself was created by God simply wanting to divide the earth from the waters below, and having it all condensed into one location. That the only way to do that was to have a side effect called gravity, and all these other complex things like the evaporation and the raining of water and all this other complex stuff. Because to him, it's simple as making the command, and then the order comes together, and that's why he has to observe it to make sure it works out how he wants to without no issues from what he planned. He's a lot more wise than I am. I'm just like the new guy, kind of like beginning to go towards my inheritance. That's why when the Son of Man goes the two witnesses, which is the Son of Man and the Son of God, we're working our thing together, because he's within me. That's why our witness is true. I'm able to shake the earth and the heavens, because he's already up there. I've already shown you Mount Zion. It's right next to the sun, which is the opening of heaven. His light comes through that opening of heaven. And the Mount Zion is like right next to it. It's gold. You can see the gold hue. Just look for gold hues around the sun. People think it's Nibiru, but that's Mount Zion. Always by the sun. I mean, maybe it goes around too, but that's why you'll see these diamond-shaped UFOs all over the place too. They're probably like spacecraft from related to Mount Zion. These guys can literally just shapeshift this stuff out and just out of pure energy from God. Just like you could take the energy from the sun, which is the light of heaven, which is like that's what all bombs are really made out of. That secondary explosion over in Russia, where that my energy caused the outpouring of spirit burst through the sun. It caused that explosion or ignition of this bomb that they had underground, and then the secondary explosion of the atomic matter of the water all around it. They might have been using the water for some kind of atomic energy or something, but they ignited the first thing, which is more flammable, and that plus the what they call a super bolt, which was obviously causing all this, which is just the power of God being hidden back up to heaven, as the Bible calls it. It's hidden. Look it up. It uses like clouds and thunder and stuff like that, because thunder goes up, and we get these super bolts, and that they ignited that, and because all the energy that was there and stuff like that. We really need to just be using the sun and not blocking it. But these beings of the abyss are trying to rebel, and the beings of the chaos. This is why God bound those angels of rebellion and the depths of the world, because the water's above and there's the water's deeper, and the deeper you go, the more dark it gets. Anyways, let me keep going. All things were made by him. Without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, which is also light. That was another command. In him I existed, light, and the light I am existed, the light of men. Oh wow, but really of a specific man. That's what it originally translated as. But it's very dual meaning. That's why it can fool people, because it's got a forward and backwards play out to it. Because it's got the beginning being the end type of thing. It's very beautiful. So yeah, it's like, for example, when you make a program, you put everything in it. You literally have to be the last thing to get into it. That's why God rested on the last day. You'll see. And that's why it returns on the seventh day. And that's why the seventh day is holy. And that's why all the other candlesticks of the menorah branch out from that main branch. That's the seventh day, the perfect day, within the light that never fades, never fails dwells. It never fades as well. It's infinite. It's the light, that the bread of eternity. It just Fibonacci swirls out, infinite. It's gold. That's why, Mount Zion that I made without hands, that Jesus made for me, my spirit. It's basically Mount Zion, like it's made gold, and it's got the 12 pillars of the 12 tribes of Israel, but also the 12 apostles. It has to be 12 because it's the Genos. Like I've been telling you, with Saitama and this bride. What is it? Genos, basically, which means, sounds like Ghana, but it's really like Greece, which Ghana is where the West Africa, where the Hebrews went and stuff when they left Rome. Left because of Rome. But also it has to do with your genos, your genetics, your ribos, your clones. And that's what's proliferated. And at first it was just going to be a clone of Adam and Eve out of spirit, but childbirth wasn't really meant to occur so much. I think maybe it was, but it was kind of like a problematic thing, because then you got to dip into the waters below, the stuff that's not of me. And that's why Jesus really, you're like his children, not mine. But I see you as mine because you're part of him. And it's just like King. He gave birth to Saitama. I'm like the king. Like, he has actual superpowers where he literally gave birth to Saitama and the whole story itself. Those two gave birth. Those two are the two witnesses. Saitama is symbolic of my power, but Genos is also symbolic of my power, doing all this amazing stuff. And but it's all just Jesus. Jesus is Saitama and Genos. But Genos is like symbolic of the people themselves. So he's a little weaker than Saitama, but he's catching up from what I've been seeing. And that's very good, because Genos is important. And Mount Zion has been doing a lot of stuff in the heavens and stuff lately. And yeah, like King has this ability, just like he's the only one who could beat Saitama technically, through pure luck. But not really, he just would be like a boss in the damn video game. It's crazy. And he just, he could beat like Saitama with like no life. Like Saitama just got to touch him one time, but he can't. So I would imagine literally in real life, King would pull off some kind of magical shit like he does in the video game. Like, it just makes sense to me. If Saitama couldn't even beat him when he had no life, what's he going to do in real life? He can't touch him. Saitama's a physical type. He could probably hit him with a serious punch or something, but King's so crazy, he would probably dodge it some weird ass way, or some weird shit would happen. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just like, it's symbolic of that power I was just telling you about. How when God makes a command, King, and also symbolic of their nature God in that world, who is symbolic of my kind of like my spirit, which became God. So he has this ability to create all these abilities, like any ability, like any command. God's much better at that than I am. That's why I'm symbolic of Saitama more than anything, but also King. Those are the two witnesses. Like that kind of, I have commands, but the more so physical ones. And so, I can do some psionic ones like luck and stuff like that, miraculous stuff. But God, he has like all these amazing abilities that are just beyond any possibility I could ever pull off. And in order to get to that, I have to just become an energy being, because he's an energy being. And that's the tag teaming thing. Like last time I had that power, that's why me and Jesus were one and all that, just like we are now, but we are on that side of things. So you'll see when I get to Genesis how, remember, like that there was like this pre-play out where they did everything, but it really wasn't manifest. People think when he's doing all those first days and those nights that it's actually manifesting. No, it's not even manifest. He's just building in this non-existent but existent world. So he might literally have like a mirror version of it over there that's just like crazy uber, or maybe like a like if you have a program, you make this, it's like a chip or whatever you make it, the hardware and the software, you know what I mean? But you have the matrix that people think are real, called the other world, that manifests from it. That's where we're at. But in reality, it's just like a computer chip to God. Like it's just hardware and software to him. Maybe it's an actual duplicate world there with much more greater abilities and stuff. It would have to be, because that's how that world works. It's all possibilities. I would imagine spaceless timelessness. And then in between, like I said, is heaven, where you can basically manifest it, but also it can be anything. So it's highly sought after, and there's wars for it. But anyway, so there's multiple levels of spirits and stuff, of waters, but God's at the most high, you see. So there's maybe some rebellions below, like the Bible would suggest. So now you're pretty much getting a big understanding how this is, but I'm going to give you more scripture. Alright, so in him was life, and the life was the light of men. Let me say it properly. In him existed life, basically, because he's the matrix, and now this is manifest in the matrix. This is the second cycle, you see. It's always like this. The first one is like everything but perfect, like the waters above. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word, was God, and it's basically everything's perfect. He's God, and he's in the beginning. This is. But it's also showing his plan of how he's going to manifest into the real world. And that's what Jesus did. He became God. And, all that stuff I was telling you, how he went towards me, and, or towards God, Godhood, actually was God. That's what he did. And then he manifests me, and then the second part. This is the waters below, you see? So now he's making me or whatever. But the waters below are symbolic of all possibility, good and bad. So that's why you got bad waters below in this realm. Because we had to have a possibility of all possibility. So God grabbed beings that were dust, like ashes. Like you smoke something, you take all the life, all the value out of it, burns up, and you inhale it. And then all that's left is dust. So he takes that, it's like ancient, it's like they're sitting at thousands and billions or whatever the fuck years is a possibility, and he gives it life again, puts it back in it, and that's how that starts. So that's really why this is the waters below, but it's really at the same time this is the waters, it's above, it's above. It's below, it's kind of like that. If you're actually from both, it's kind of advantageous. That's why people become greater than even the angels of heaven. It's a very complex, because it's like it works off possibilities. The way it works is just based off of like he makes a command. He doesn't. I'm sure he understands, but most people wouldn't understand the possibilities of what it's going to make happen. You have to observe. That's why you always make sure every day is good before you gets on to the next one. But you'll notice these 2 days cycle. And all things that were made, you see, it's talking about Jesus again down here. You see? And then all things were made by him that was made. Talking about God. And then in him was life, and the life was the light of that man. You see, it's talking about me again. And then it's talking about manifesting again. In the dark, the light shineth in the darkness. That's the possibility world. That, and it's also got to do with how his spirit shineth on the face of it's the light, but the deep is dark. They can't comprehend it. This also got to do with the firmament, how people can't really comprehend it because of the firmament as well. It doesn't say there's a firmament right here, but I'm trying to get you to understand the order, why I can't comprehend it. Because it's firm in the middle. It's just like people here can't really understand heaven. It's just like when second Ezra, when the angel asked him, so you're supposed to know about the earth, but you don't know about the earth because you're here, You're supposed to know about it though. And he was like, suppose I ask you about things you're not from, like, the deep sea, or, like heaven. He would say he's never been down there, or he's never been to heaven. I have a little bit of understanding of heaven simply because obviously, what? That's why he says my sheep hear my voice. It's like when a person gets grafted into God, they were not originally there. But thanks to what I told you, when God makes a command, and when you become a part of his kind of power, that just you become like you were already there. And to him, you're probably already there, but for us, you're not, because the way our realm is. And for him, maybe you literally just get grafted into it's real time too. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised. That's just how it works. Mandela effects are changes for me too. These Mandela effects are pretty real. And light shine in the darkness. This is Jesus again right here. And darkness comprehended not. But it's also got to do with me rising up. Like the second Ezra, just like it shows that man rising out of the waters, out of the spirits. See, that's the spirit. It's showing my story. It's the Son of Man and the Son of God. It's the spirit. There was a man sent from God. His name was John. Okay. Manifest. Two witnesses. The same came to witness. Bear witness to the light. All men through him might believe. He was not that light, but sent to bear witness of that light. Of the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He was in the world already. Just like I'm doing right now. John was like a symbolic of me. These guys are symbolic of the two witnesses. So funny, man. Anyway, now let me get on with this other stuff. Then you can see the ark. The ark you see as a rectangle. Even the ark of Noah was rectangular. Because waves are energy. When I release a wave of energy from heaven, it comes down, as these gamma wave bursts, because it's using my whole everything to work together towards things. Just like when someone does DMT, it puts their whole brain together and stuff. I can do that quite naturally. I'm afraid to get on some drug because I know it would make it quite overpowered for me. And I'm saving that for when it's meant to happen naturally. Because I know when I stand before the one before all, the head of ages, things are going to get pretty bumpy for this world. So I'm trying to make sure it's the right time. And so with this art thing, like when your whole brain is working together, you're basically one with the universe, and that's why people see heaven, because they're ascended up to it. It's kind of like dreaming, same thing. That's why God will talk to people when they're dreaming. That's why the outpouring of Spirit of God basically causes people to dream while they're awake, like having visions, or just dreaming more vivid dreams. And the prophesying and all this stuff just gets amplified. Because you're starting to get contact with where everything is coming from. The thoughts you think are your own are assigned to you by heaven. You can have some power in that only by actually being a part of that. Otherwise, you have to have a conscience. You have to have what is being sent to the body holographically and instantaneously and scalarly. You have to be of that order of magnitude. You have to have consciousness, which is from heaven. And it comes through your frontal lobe. That's why the frontal lobe is such a factor. You saw that video when I showed me the forehead's all like, it's like, and I literally had two like horns in my forehead. Didn't even notice that I had those before that. And my eyes and all that stuff, because luminousness in my reflectivity. But anyway, it's enough about me. basically have to do with working all that together, and the only way to do that is through your intention. It's through your faith. Like, it's all in your head. You know, that's why everybody's made in God's image. You know, you can shape your own heaven, your own reality. Some people are creating their own hell. Some people can create their own heaven. You have to be in line with Jesus. Like, when you're in line with Jesus, you know, get access to that kind of power, and then, you know, it leads to all the rest, just miraculously. Like, I remember first, you know, it just all came together. Like, I was just led to God at the same time I started creating reality and all at the same time. It just happens that way. You have to do a frequency. Like Tesla says, the most high frequency, most likely. It's the higher you go, the higher frequency. That's why 5G is causing people to, like, leave their bodies and shit, because up there, you know, it's like leaving your body in the, you know, there's not much oxygen up in those higher frequency realms, like way high up in the sky, like Mount Everest and shit. Alright, so also these cherubim have the forever four, like in the bird, well, not the bird, but this angel that they have, like, I'm assuming is the cherub, or the two cherub, that has a flaming sword that guards, you know, heaven. You know, maybe that's related to the opening into heaven, like Eden probably was, and that's what we're seeing. Like, that's the four, and that's the light of heaven, Jesus Christ Himself. I'm telling you, the four is important. It's the same thing. And that's why you get those four rivers out of Eden. And you got the tree of good and evil, and tree of good and evil is like earth, basically. You got the waters, the earth, and then you got the waters below. You got the decision to go back to obedience, good, or to go back down below into hell, disobedience and disorder, outer darkness, awaken the light. And this is why a lot of times I actually show this with one wing up, one wing down. You know, just like the Mount Zion, this mountain carved without hands, looks like a diamond. Why diamonds are shaped like that? It's the symbology of the unbreakableness and the crystal hologram shape-shifting and eternal memory and storage capacity compared to anything else on earth that it has. And when something lasts that long, like a diamond does, it has spiritual power. Just like the Egyptian pyramids, like they put these carvings in, it has power and all this stuff. And they knew what they were doing beyond that, and they would make these things filled with gold, these with all this alchemical and spiritual knowledge that they put into it that I can't even utter out loud to, because it's just like it would cause problems if people knew too much. But like, for example, the Ark of the Covenant is basically an energy generator. It's a hyper energy generator, and it's like a fire. And alright, so enough about the Ark. But oh yeah, the four. And that's why you got the four winds of heaven. It's also kind of like a circle, but it might just be diamond shaped. Well, it's probably the Earth is diamond shaped too, but it might just be talking about, you know, the Mount Zion, because, you know, that's more so in the middle ground than Earth is, because it's right up there in heaven. It's right next to the opening of heaven. All right, enough about this. But the four is important also. Like, you got the four corners of the Ark. You got the poles that they're holding it, they're being held by four people. I would imagine it's some kind of priest or something. And, you know, and then you got the two cherubim showing this fusion thing, and then their wings all combining to make one. And I already told you about how he who walks amidst the seven candlesticks is the seven spirits of God. It's just like the four spirits of God, you see? At the end there's 7, beginning more towards the beginning there's 4. My story began with the 4, but the 2 are critical as well. It's both at the same time. It's kind of interesting. Alright, so let's make this quick. But this is kind of going to be impossible. I've already been kind of spoiled on this part. Alright, so in the beginning, once again, there's the Alpha. It's the same story. God, see, the God in the beginning created the heaven and the earth. And you see what the waters above are is basically the Spirit of God in the beginning. Where everything comes from. And then there's the division. And then the earth. The earth has basically got to do with these possibilities that he can manifest. Those other ones that he's not intending. Not the void, but the darkness. And the earth was without form and void. And the darkness was upon the face of the deep. Basically the possibilities. And the Spirit of God moved upon, like for example, God would say these people like to hide in darkness so that their deeds do not become manifest. The light is what manifesting. This is why God says people fucked up when they hid his Spirit under water. Not water, but ground. Like they buried it because it needs the light to grow, just like the plants. You're going to see the plants are like, that's why people have seen the Bible when Jesus messing with them, that are healing them, that people look like trees, like they were plants. You're going to see that there's a connection between people and plants. And, but anyways, and the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. See, he's the Most High. The darkness is the shapeless stuff. Like I said, the light is all about manifesting things. Just like the trees in the light grow. In the darkness, they wither away. And they, they show you, like the trees teach you a lot. That's why they're just like the heavens. They show you the signs and the seasons. You can tell what season it is and what's going on with the plants so much by the plants and the stuff like that. Because they're intricately connected. Like they're like the foundation of the plant. They're the roots of the plant. That's why when people they smoke, they do DMT, they're messing with these plants. They start to see heaven. Because it kind of precedes them, but it's like the other half. That's why this one ganja man was like, man, in order to get the bliss of heaven, man, kind of got to mess with these plants. Not this man-made shit, but plants, That's why people will literally see God and stuff on these plants. But, meaning the plants clean your body out. The fruit, if you become a fruitarian, you're basically eating perfectly. God gave us fruit, unlike the other animals to eat. The fruit's got everything you need. You got those amino acids. You don't even got to stress your body breaking down the proteins. Instead, these guys want to go, be like the creatures of the darkness, of the deep. Like the bottom feeders, the scavengers of the deep depths of the ocean that just eat whatever falls down there. Still kill and destroy from each other. Because there ain't no plants down there to live off of, you see? Without the plants, without the fruit growing because of the sun, there can be literally no peace. There can be no life. You see how intricate the plants and the fruit are to life itself? Without them, you wouldn't even exist. You would all be killing each other and it's like ridiculous. Like, oh my God. And there's been extinctions because of plants. God want to get rid of you, you just gotta get rid of the plants. And that's why these demons have been blocking the sun, literally blocking our life force off. Because they're of the darkness. This is a war. We need to stand up and fight for our lives. You know, this is a war. These are the creatures of the abyss, trying to take what is not theirs instead of staying in their place. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I'm gonna fight for the life, man. Anyways, and the earth was without form and void. You see, it's shapeless. And the darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. See? At the face of the waters, the world at the top, the waters above. Because He's the Most High. The Spirit is the Most High. And God said, gave a command, you see, let there be light. So what is the light? Jesus is that light. And that's why everything came from that light. And notice the ordering again. The first is beginning, the whole story perfect. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, command. And the second is like damn near a manifestation. And it's like, okay, we're going to check this. This is the first day. And the earth was without form and void. This is the manifestation down below, you see. The word above is one, the word below is the second words. And the earth was without form and void. He gave the command, now it's like, let's see if we can do this. This formless of void. And the darkness was upon the face of the deep. The Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. It's like, hey, can we do this? Okay, I got a plan. Didn't exactly work there. I got a plan though. Now let's make a new command. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light. You see, now it's the manifestation. And God saw the light. Now it's manifested. And this is off the top of my head. That it was good. I am existed good. And God divided the light from the darkness. So you see the light. You can't have darkness without light. You can't have darkness without light. There's only darkness without light. See? So he made the command and he saw what happened. He saw the light, that it was good. And God, the light divided, because it is God, light from darkness. And the light is Jesus Christ, the light of heaven. So it divides the two. It's called heaven. I've been telling y'all that. So let's see this next cycle. Now he's going to make another command. God called, made a word, you see, light, day, and the darkness he called night. I'm just winging this. I could totally end up being like wrong on it. Like, in the evening, in the morning, were the first day. Ooh! He really worked hard on that first day. He made sure it was good, you see. He saw that the light was good, so that was the... So he literally did make it on the first day. It says that he makes the firmament on the second day, but literally he's making it on the first day. So the other books that suggested, like Jubilees, that he made it on the first day, he made the heavens, you know, the waters, the spirits of the waters above, aka the light. Wow. The first day, the perfect day, whom the light that never fails dwells. Wow, I found it. It's the first day. It's just like I figured. It goes back and forth. The beginning is the end. That's why I come and I restore all of that. This is like before the world was, so remember all of it. I'm like giving you the cheat code like right here. Man. So we get all done the first day. You see, the first day is 5. You see, it's perfection. Now, this is like the manifestation. You see, all we can see is this thing called the firmament. But it's really just the light. And since we're down here, you know, most people can't conceive it. But, you know, I got this whole connection and stuff. You know, I've been hooked up. And then God said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Woo! Amazing. And God made the firmament and divided. Well, this is basically, he made another command here. So, this is something new for me. This is something freaking new for me. So this is like showing that really is the end. In the beginning is literally just the end again. So he's making another command because it's like all over again. It's like echoing the other thing backwards. Starting with the firmament, the last thing he did. That's crazy. And then there's firmament, midst of the waters. Let it divide the waters from the waters. And it's a perfect 5 too. I wonder if this ends on 10. I want to see. And then God said, let the firmament be in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. The point is, I'm trying to get you this other stuff I already know, but I'm kind of winging this new stuff because it's just so cool. All right, so you already know what that is. You know, heaven. And God made the firmament, divided the waters. Yeah, now he's manifested. He made the command, now he's manifesting. You see, it's going back to that order again. And this is 7. Oh, this is so cool. And God made the firmament, because, that's the perfect day. Heaven itself, yep, that's the day he rested. I knew it. Alright, so, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. That's basically the whole story right there. This extra stuff is really just the dome. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. Wow. And God said, let the waters under heaven be gathered on the one place, and dry land appeared, and it was so. Alright, so right here you see, this is where you get gravity. And like I said, let the waters under heaven be under heaven, you see? Like the waters below. That's why we have gravity down here, and why, it seems like they can fly around in heaven and do all this crazy stuff. Everything just stays suspended in heaven. And then people wondering how the hell does it just stay up there? Well, it's probably because the spirits up there are not affected by gravity. And not divided from the land. Which seems to be symbolic of another core essence, like the possibilities. It's kind of like, you'll see in a second, because it's like, the heavens is more than one thing. There's the heavens he just made. Then there's the firmament. Then there's the lights in the firmament. Okay, so there's the firmament. That's one aspect of it. And then there's the lights in the firmament. It's like dividing those two. It's like taking those two and dividing them. That's what's happened out here. It's really weird. So that's why people have to always go out of their way to go get water. It's not already within them. It's been divided, you see? And I'm pretty sure that's for certain reasons, like the way this world works and its lack of possibilities and its limitedness and shittiness of it. But and lack of life and the decaying factor. Just look at the bottom of the sea compared to places that are well lit, like the Amazon jungle, just overly grown towards heaven. Got the tree of life reaching the heaven. You see. But anyways, God called the firmament heaven, and evening and morning were the second day. You see, so it's done. Like I said, it's always done with those two, the first and second. Like I already called, it was done on 7. But this is a continuation of that. And then God said, let the waters of the heaven be gathered. Yeah, and then the division happened. And this is why people are all like, we're all divided from source. Oh, it's our ego. It's this division thing within ourselves. Where did it come from? Because, you guys are like in quarantine down here. And that's why God always stopped them from trying to reach up to heaven. Because they have people's nature down here is very wicked. And, like, no offense, like some of these other people that had to do inbreeding because they were so far out in the wilderness, they got all kind of birth defects to market Cain. Like Cain, he was a Hamite. His mom was also a black bull or cow. He was a black bull, and then they market Cain. They did incest so they could reproliferate, and then the stars of heaven, they mixed in with them and they shape-shifted into them. Like I said, they're in the middle ground, so they could, they saw this advantage and just wanted to take advantage of it. Now, probably because they saw this greatness in these people, because they made in the image of God or whatnot. So, like, they came down, they shapeshifted, used their advantage on them, and they're still doing it to this day. Because people are unaware of this kind of stuff. But, I'm pretty much explaining what's going on. You have this literal ability of things to shapeshift and all that. They can become anything. Like, one of your main issues with your actual spacecraft, and that's why they started working with shape-shifting abilities, they call it synthetic biology. Check it out, it's called digital biology now, because like they can just make it print itself in the thin air. They've been making like false spirits up in the air and fighting against God. And they're called the locusts of the bottomless pit. They self-proliferate. They pretend like they're airplanes, but they're not. You can see them from other angles because of the light exposing them. That's why they're trying to block the light, because the light is truth. It shows what really should be and shouldn't be, because it's manifesting everything that should be. But man's trying to play like he's God, and he's making up these false imaginations that are basically coming from the abyss. And that's why some of these things are very haunting and negative, because everything that should be is orderly and comes from God. God's making things that shouldn't be. And that's why they come out of the bottomless pit, this abyss of possibilities that people originate from. And when they do things that are of this order of magnitude, they're playing God, but it's not really on God's level necessarily. It's similar, but it's not nearly as powerful. God has this whole power, orders of power, and magnitudes of power factor going for him, with the whole infinitely growing thing and infinitely never fading. That's why when they said Boros met Saitama, he was like, Saitama's energy was never fading. It was totally constant. And he was like, he never seen anything like it. And, Saitama's bald because it's symbolic of chi power, like monk power, power that comes from on the lowest level of repetition. But the higher level is something else I can't tell you because that's my echelon. And that's why they always repeat things with advertisements over and over again and try to hypnotize you. Because it's mind over matter. And, they're trying to control you, but it'll never work on a higher level because they're limited, because they're working with what has been. A person that's conscious can work with the infinite potentials of infinity. So they have no limit. They can really, literally just rewrite things like King does. Like, y'all also have that power. It's something that I started, but y'all also have that power because y'all are like, have the same kind of powers as me somewhat. You have potential to have the same powers, especially through Jesus Christ. It bridges that to you guys. Before it was just me and him, but he shared that with y'all. Y'all were in the darkness, and after him, y'all are in the light, and y'all don't even understand that, though. But anyway, so, alright, moving on. I'm sorry, I've been bragging on about all this stuff y'all don't know, but I think y'all should know. And then God called the division. And God said, Earth brings seed as a manifesting. called the earth. It said, but it seems to be like double commands it does. And let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind. This is just a manifestation of what had to happen. Whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. Like I said, you're not going to be able to do anything without that. But notice the order. It's that, then it's the light. And then earth brought forth grass. It actually manifested what he just commanded. Seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. This is the source of life, really. Like this seed itself, like. And he saw that it was good. You see, he has to make sure it was good. Set these foundations. This again would seem to have been a more complicated one because he divided them, and it seemed like in order to make that happen, he needed earth. And earth needed to have this grass and seed and trees and rooting. I want to be surprised if the earth was like on some kind of big old root or something. And the earth brought forth grass and all this stuff. It literally had to have a foundation of earth itself. And then even in the morning were the third day. And then God said, let there be lights in the firmament in the heaven to divide the day from the night, to see more divisions. And then to be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. But also again, you got this combination of the earth, and then you got a division, and then you have an actual heavenly division, like with the lights in the firmament, and some of these lights came down to earth, like this consciousness. You have this non-conscious foundation, and then you have this conscious foundation right here. And these people are like strongly based around these signs and seasons and days of years, like Jesus was, like Abraham was. Like you'll see these signs before they're born, because they're inherently connected, because we are the light of earth. We are the salt of earth. We're like important to the earth. We're supposed to be like, when he put us in the earth, we're supposed to be like caregivers of the earth, taking care of it. Like, don't you feel good when you see that person? Doesn't it restore faith in humanity when you see them go save some animal that needs their help, obviously, because it's not as conscious as us? That's how it is, because these things are like the foundation of earth. Earth wouldn't work without these creatures. They're the ecosystem of the planet. Like them and the plants and all this kind of stuff, they're foundational. Like they keep everything in check. And you can learn from them as well. They can teach you things. They literally taught us how to fly and stuff. They're showing us all these different possibilities and stuff. And these demons are literally blocking and destroying these creatures' metaphysical places. This is just extremely weird, wicked. And that's why I say we got to save the animals, because the animals are related to us on a foundational level. I'm going to show you that in a second, because you see now what we got is a connection between the grass and the earth itself. In the sea, the sea as well, technically. But this division in light itself. In the plants more so in light itself. As far as this foundational, the plants are the non-conscious, and the water's kind of like the spirit, but it's division. And then, but we are more so symbolic of the light. Remember that. And like signs of change upon the earth in the seasons of the world. Like we're like we literally control like what part of the world we're in. Like because of what we're doing right now compared to what we were doing earlier, we're literally at the end of the world. We know what season it is. Literally because of us. We're the light changing and shaping this non-conscious foundation. Because without us, it would follow a script. Like it would just return back to ecosystem. And let them be for lights in the firmament, and to give light upon the earth and the sun. And God made two great lights, greater light to rule the day, and lesser light to rule the night. It's just like people. We have people of the day, people that are like, got a little more melanin in them. And then you got people of the night that are more pale skinned, that have been living in caves, and people that live literally underground in far places doing intercessor stuff. That's probably their nature. Like there are literal beings like Yetis, Sasquatch, and things of the night that will prey on you if you go out deep in those woods. They call them demons. Like Lilith was one, she's called a night demon. And that's why you have that possibility. Because there had to be this division, there's these possibilities. You don't necessarily need these possibilities. There's obviously that division for that very reason. But there seemed to be something grasped that was useful from these possibilities. Maybe redemption, whatever. Maybe it's just that's how possibilities work. You had to grasp it from both and then create that division. It just makes sense to me. It's a logical nuts and bolts world. That's why I feel sorry for people. I think everything just works magically and it's just going to work around them. They're partly right, but the Bible says don't test it. Don't tempt God. Just why Jesus didn't jump off the mountain when the devil told him to do that. It's like there was this one prophet that took 2 months for the angels to reach him because there was a real battle. He had to fight the Prince of Persia and all these spirits of the abyss probably to get to him. But obviously the people of light are more powerful. But these angels that have rebelled against God, they used to have that great power, and they still probably have some of that great power. But there's the obvious huge advantage with the angels of God because they still, they've been growing and growing and growing and all that sort of stuff. As far as their interactions with this world, because this world is the manifest form, and then heaven's in the middle, so the middle part is still growing as well. So anyways, and this we got these 2 great lights or whatever. And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon them, and to rule over the day and over the night, and divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the 4th day. Everything's done right there. You see what he did again? In 2 days, once again, he made the commands first perfect, then manifest. You got the lights that actually manifest. And then before that, he was just, let me go back to the 3rd day. Let me start with that. 2nd day, where's the 2nd? Okay, here it is. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be see, he started dividing things. But this is like the second half that's not as good. Like this is showing that earth is symbolic kind of heaven, and the waters below are kind of symbolic of, like the waters below. We're a little bit more orderly, a little bit more structured, a little bit more solid, and we can grow. We're growing. We have a light from the higher parts, which to us is heaven, to heaven, the God of the God Most High is basically their source, and their heaven, in the order even more radical than them, and even more obscure than them, and saucier than them. It's like, this is why people always have these happenings of these in-between realms and time effects and all this kind of weird stuff. When it's miraculous, and when it's also those other guys trying to cause problems. In the Matrix, they said that when you get deja vu, they're changing something. You usually got memory loss or something. But those UFOs, those people that interact with them, a lot of time lost too. Those guys are the prison keepers. They're trying to keep people from ascending. They've still been doing that. They're still trying to block that for people. But anyway, so yep, once again, it's the division, and it said bring forth grass, aka the light. Yeah, that's the crappier part. And then the manifest, and then now it's the lights to the actual heaven. You see, it's the perfection, and then the manifestation of that, and set them over, one over the day and one over the night. Made sure it was good because that's the manifestation. Now we're gonna have the same cycle all over again. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly moving creature that have life." You see, life is light, and the fowl that fly above the earth, and an open firmament of heaven, in the open heaven of heaven. So some people are right. Some people have been saying, the atmosphere and all that is related to heaven. And that's why when heaven opens up, we get rain. The waters above, they have all this positive energy and stuff in it, like negative ions and all those life-giving factors. Water's very important. And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, basically manifesting, brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl of their kind, and God saw that it was good. He has to observe the manifestation. Then God blessed them, saying, giving them another command, be beautiful and multiply. So at this point, He had created these creatures, but they had not been able to multiply. They were not able to self-proliferate. So then God gave them the ability. He said, be fruitful and multiply, fill the waters and the seas, let the fowl multiply in the earth, evening in the morning for the fifth day. I mean, He doesn't have to observe that. They're just multiplying after that. And then God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and the beast and the earth after his kind. Oh, so he apparently got more than one command towards us. Because this is basically Him saying to multiply again. And God made the beast of the earth and his kind, the cattle after the kind, and everything creeping upon the earth with his kind, and saw that it was good. Yeah, He got it proper that time. And then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And let them, like for example, when you look at the heavens, just to get you to understand this order again, how you're coming from, this is why you can see the whole history of everything in the heavens. And all the ancients knew this. That's because if you look, you can see humanoid beings that tell a story. Then you see the animals, pretty much all the animals of the earth, all the core ones. Like you see oxy, you can see scorpions, you can see birds, you can see like all kinds of stuff. Even some of the mythological ones, like half human, half something else type ones. You can see Ophiuchus, the serpent holder, that's a human. You can see Moose constellation with the two. You got to look at the story. If you want to learn the story, like what's going to happen, I learned my story how I was basically already did it all. It's called Sting of the Scorpion by Jonathan Gray. You gotta see it, man. Like, I'm totally gonna have to probably take it and re-upload it on here, but we're working pretty mobile lately, so it's kind of like not exactly easy. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Anyway, so you'll see that in the heavens, you got all that stuff. So that's why you'll see, heavenly signs when Jesus comes and all this kind of stuff when he's being born as a man. But when he comes actually again as a spirit, he's already above the firmament. So that's why you'll see the firmament roll back as a scroll. All the heavens rolled back as a scroll. Because he's God, he's coming as God, then he's not coming as a man, where you're just going to see heavenly signs of him coming. Because he's such a major sign factor in heaven itself. He's going to be such a major factor. All of heaven itself is going to flee from him. That's a whole nother scale. It's scary. I'm actually scared to see it when it happens. I haven't even seen that before. I've been next to the sun. I've been hit by a planet. I've seen the sun right next to Earth. It goes through portals, and it goes through so fast on Earth when you see with your naked eyes, because they're not past like your spiritual eyes. You see that it looks like two suns and two different portals, but that's just because your eyes ain't fast enough to see the actual star moving in between those two portals. And those two portals, gravity are just holding this light at the two portals that's moving in between them really fast. But I'm telling you, if he was to roll back the damn heavens, I would probably, it would be, I wouldn't shit myself. I'm not the type to do that when I get scared. I would just have an overwhelming fear like I've never had. Because I can imagine, because I've seen so many weird things, it'd be extremely terrifying. And I'm just imagining the heat and the energy and the visions and things that most people wouldn't even be imagining that I can imagine would be happening, and things I'm not even imagining that will be happening. It would be terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I create the powers and all this stuff. I'm extremely afraid of it. Literally so fucking afraid of it. It's not even funny. When this shit actually manifests on this planet, like, I'm done talking about it. It's beyond imagination. It's gonna be something completely new. Ain't nothing new under the sun. That's above the sun. Over and understand that, and side stand that, and inner stand that, and outer stand that, and all stand that. How scary that is. There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new on the waters below it, because it's all just like play out. But God's gonna roll back the sun in heavens itself. The sun's just opening in heaven. You know how scary and how much new stuff we're gonna have hitting us out of nowhere? It's gonna be, oh my God. Y'all can be looking forward to it. Me, I am, but I'm scared to death at the same fucking time, because upgrades sometimes are painful. Okay? Sure, y'all look forward to it. I'm looking forward to it too. But I got a little more prior experience to this kind of stuff. And it's not fun switching from one robo suit to another sometimes. It's scary. The air tastes different. It smells different. Your body is just weirder. It might be an upgrade. It was for me in this one dream, I had or whatever, but it's scary. And all the other weird shit that's going to happen. Go on. Alright, so, anyways. So like I said, that's why you get the lights in the heavens and all that kind of stuff that he put in there just now. And at the same time, you got all these creatures popping up now. And then at the same time, that's afterwards. Wow, the fourth day, see? He already had that second set of everything done, which is the middle ground, that's heaven. And, this other layer of heaven, because the firmament is heaven, and then now he's putting the lights in heaven. So then he actually puts this non-conscious foundational part in here called the living creatures that, like, for example, you look at your brain, it's like a foundational part of your brain, which is their brain. And then he builds on top of that the light, the conscience, the higher order, the higher waters. Your brain is like symbolic of the waters. Those is lower basal parts that are all fearful and chaotic and basal and out of your control. And then the higher you go, the more you get into like the experience, actually experiencing it, which you can learn from. And then you get to the higher parts of your consciousness, you can actually rationalize it and materialize it, make it into what you want, and understand it and overstand it at that point. The understanding is like the foundation of it. The overstanding is the actual manipulation, the comprehension of it. And then the forward standing of it is pushing it forward, being able to control it, your forward consciousness. And even at your highest peak is your pineal gland, which is your related to your intention as well. Where you can just be like the Most High, almost in a way symbology. And you can control your reality then. It's like a little piece of being like God. And you're basically ascending in the higher waters. Anyway, so you got these, so you got the lower part of the consciousness being made the foundation. That's why they say your subconscious, which is basically like these animals and all this stuff, your instincts, are so much more intelligent than your consciousness will ever really be, because it's like, but that's not really true. They both work with each other. That's what people say though. And that's because it's like foundational. It's like the hardware, you're like the software company. All right, so God created man in his own image. That's the light, energy, the bringing it all into, fruition. And in the image of God created he him. Because God is that spirit, he is the spirit that is on the face of the waters, so, he's the pinnacle. He's got all the other spirits under his control. He's the head. Created him male and female, created the, like male and female, like, the core and the spirit. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply. For example, not second Ezra, but like the Shepherd Hermas, those Hermas books or the Shepherd books or whatever they were. There's 3 of them. And one of them that shows that the Holy Spirits are actually these female type things. That basically comes from the male. That's why, it's like the bride of Christ. That comes from him. It's like the people that come from him. And just like the father is the head of the son, but it's not like sexual at all. The son is his clone. You see, it's really just a clone, but it's become this female male thing after, I believe, Adam and Eve caused these issues in Eden. But I don't think she necessarily was anything more than a clone before that, when Adam was both male and female. But I think when they got separated, maybe she started being female, like female looking. But also that could have happened after the fall. And why she could have painful childbirthing instead of just cloning in a much more spiritual way. Because they were in the Eden, heaven, before they made that mistake. Yeah, all right, so, and and then after our likeness, and then let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. And what did God do? He did that by, if you look at heaven, you'll see that in the firmament, he shows the story of humans being dominant against all these other creatures, and dominating heavens, and there's one that's on the crown at the center of the North Pole. It used to be Draco sneaking his ass up. But really, later on, as time moved on, there was this human featured person that's on this on a not a he has a crown, but he's on a chair. I can't even remember a throne. Yeah, he's on a throne. And basically, his name means "he who cometh to rule" or something like that. So it basically puts them in dominion. It has them have a little interesting story. It's really got his foot crushing the head of the snake, Draco, and so they basically got the story already lined up for us. It seems to have some interesting little tidbits in there with the battles and stuff. And maybe they did that for interestingness, or maybe it was the actual battle. And we just got to play it out. Really, it's simple. And it's pretty much destiny for certain key people to play this out. It was already set up before the world was. And all the stuff I'm showing you is before any of this actually manifests. So, okay. He made God, he gave him dominion over them. So God made his image, created them, blessed them. And then now, he gives them the ability to multiply. You see? And subdue it and have dominion over it. You see, he gave them command to multiply. So they don't really gotta do anything weird. They're just multiplying and having dominion at this point. That's how he set it up, at least. And then God said, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth." It might even be why he made them female and male. Males, females are multiplied. Males, basically. Clones, basically. Now giving you every herb bearing seed which upon the face of the earth, and every tree which has fruit. That's what you'll eat. But the beast, all they got, and all the other animals, all they got was the herb. You see? So all these motherfucking creatures that are carnivores, like dogs and all that weird shit, they go around. Not really necessarily dogs, but dogs. All the carnivore creatures, they're out of order. They're out of order with the original order that God had set up. That's why God will, like, a lot of times, talk about a lot of these creatures like that's what they are. This is disorderly, right? Like, he'll call them dogs. Like, he'll be like, these people, all these other kingdoms in the book of Enoch, he'll call them all these other creatures. He'll call them dogs or this or that, or hyenas, or all these type of weird creatures. But there's also, like the birds of the air. Maybe these things came later. Maybe they mutations or something, or maybe they came from the abyss. I have no idea. But it certainly seems that was not meant for them to be like that. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. See, once again, it's done. On the 6 days, these cycles of two. And when you look at the menorah, if you take two menorahs and you put them on top of each other, now you got like a perfect cycle. It's the two witnesses. It's really like the waters above, the menorah above, and there's the menorah below. And then you combine them, you got the two olive trees that bridge the worlds together and make heaven in the middle. You got all these other interesting factors and all that, and the worlds become one, and it's fairly interesting. So everything's done. You see, it's perfect right there. Everything's done, and that's why he rests right there. This is like literally how it works. Like the first little part of these cycles of two, him creating it spiritually when the waters above, and then manifesting it. This is all happening over and over again, the cycles of heaven and manifestation, cycles of heaven and manifestation, foundation, manifestation, foundation, manifestation, light, darkness, not really darkness, but foundation, light, foundation, lesser, greater, female, male. Like you look at the foundation of humans, they all start out female, and then some become male, some don't. Some have a light bringing essence in them, some don't. And then you get on the two, second witness. Now this is when everything manifests. You see, it's already done. You see, thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them, all the sources of them, all the waters, all their heavens. When the seventh day, God ended His work which He had made. The rest of the seventh day. This is the branching. And just like, that's why the Son of Man, He's lifted up when He rests. When the cross happened. You lift Him up, symbologies and all that stuff. Because things are highly symbolic. Now all of a sudden you have this bridge. Because, He basically was going to ascend back up. It was already started. And now you got the beginning coming down as well. Everything's pretty much set up. And now you can basically rest. That's what He did. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it He had rested from all His work which God had made. That's why, like I said, He rested on the seventh day, and He comes back on the seventh day. The age of Aquarius, we're in that right now. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, forever forth. And every plant of the field before the earth, before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. You see, people think this is all like when He was doing all that stuff in those days, the stuff was actually manifesting. It was, but it wasn't. It was like He was creating the waters above, that hardware and software, that the matrix, that which is about to be shown you manifest from. The two witnesses. Sorry, I'm getting hit with some kind of throat drying weapon right now. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified. Blessed from all His works. These are the generations, okay? Every plant in the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth. You see, the water is factor. It's a huge factor. That's His water. It's His spirits. It basically makes all that foundational stuff work. Because you take what is water, it's hydrogen and oxygen. Those are the two key things of life. It's the key foundation, the energy. What is hydrogen? The hydrogen bomb. They use this in all kinds of things, even their rockets and stuff. Like this hydrogen is really the greatest form of energy. Nitrogen is another good one that's in air. Like oxygen is a big factor as well, but nitrogen seems to be a big factor. I haven't really gotten too into that, but anyways, you got the main core things of water though. You got hydrogen, which is basically what the sun is made out of, which can power everything on the planet, and which basically makes nuclear weapons and nuclear energy is hydrogen. That's why they always have it by the water, with these nuclear places or whatever, these nuclear power plants. But really, they're just melting water and using it as atomic energy. The energy it releases heat. They absorb it, and then they absorb the steam that comes from it. It's really just like a steam room. Real basic atomic energy. That's why they call it atomic power. And so they started fucking with the atoms, trying to figure out all kinds of stuff, how they can get more energy out of it. But anyway, it's a long story. So then He watered it, but then there went up a mist from the earth, and it watered the whole face of the ground. The Lord God formed man of the dust of the earth, the ground, and breath and nostril of life. You see, so you got the water now taking effect, and you got the oxygen. Both of those are, a part of the water. It's the hydrogen and the oxygen. and it became a living soul. Now obviously he's got water part of his body. You take some dust, you take a lot of it, you know, you can make some mud, you know. You can shape them out of, you know, like some clay when you got a little bit of water. But when it's just dusty, you don't got no water, you can't do that. You don't have the breath of life, oxygen to put into him, the energy to put into him. It's not gonna work. The hydrogen is also a part of the energy. Like the way they when you alkalize your body through fruit, you're putting life essence in you. You're putting hydrogen in you. That's what the sun's made out of. It's the lightest thing on the planet. It's lighter than air itself. It's lighter than helium. It's hydrogen. And so it's interesting because the sun is so light and massive and all this stuff that it actually goes from the north to south pole based on density. If there's a whole bunch of ice, it's more dense. So it attracts the sun to it. The moon also moves around based on this sort of stuff as well, but it's not as fast as the sun. And all that mining of the, you know, of Africa, taking all that mass, the gold, has been affecting the sun's orbit and the poles and stuff. That's why they had like all those pyramids along the equator. The ancients put all those pyramids with massive things, and, you know, like gold and all that along the equator, just to keep the sun in a proper orbit. You know, they knew a lot about this kind of stuff, and then also why the Pacific Rim is being so active with stuff and all this explosions keep happening because the energy is being attracted to all those rare minerals and gold and all that kind of stuff, all this energetic stuff that's over there, all this mass. So it just drags all that there, just through logic and all that kind of stuff, of the energy that God already, the commands he already made, you know, how the division between the earth and the waters below would happen. So that's why, you know, for example, Hawaii, where it didn't normally have a lot of gold, but they moved it there. And that's why Pearl Harbor happened. They wanted to get all that gold. Japan got a lot of it, but still a lot there. I mean, enough to rival Rothschild's like 500 trillion, over 500 trillion worth. So it actually makes them look kind of poor. Not poor, but less rich. That's why, you know, Hawaii's been having a non-stop earthquake, like for years. It's just volcanoes non-stop erupting. It's because of that, and this energetic outpouring spirit, you know, it's interacting with that, and that's why China and all that's burning, like the Bible said it would, and everybody's looking at it from afar, that it got richer than because their costliness, their cheapness. It's literally China. It's clearly China. And then the beast Rome hates China, who is really the dragon as well. China is also the dragon, but it's really the harlot, and that's why they want to devour them. Because China, you know, they're exalted in their heart because of how much riches they have right now, and that's why they just like basically fucked over China just now. Either that or God has something to do with it too. But anyway, so. Alright, went over there too, I see. Oh, let me close that then. Alright, so Lord God planted. Okay. And he formed, the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed breath in nostrils and into his nostrils, the breath of life. Man became a living soul. You see, like I said, it's this possibility that was just like anciently just dust, like it's been sitting there for forever, and he brought it, you know, to life. And they even talk about how the firmament itself literally holds steady. It's like this possibility that ended up happening after just all this infinite play out and the possibilities, because it seemed to have had some time before. That's why people were dust and all this kind of stuff. And it seems, according to the Bible, that the firmament itself actually holds steady all the heavens above it. Because there's like several heavens above it that it holds steady. It gives a foundation to it. And just like I was just telling you, it's like a foundation for Earth itself, and it's the power of God. Heaven is the power of God, so it's that little perfect little meeting point of perfection, and everything just kind of coalesces. It makes everything happen because it's like that perfect frequency. Where now all of a sudden everything is just everything, and that's why you see the golden ratio in everything that manifests, and that has a strong life in it. Like it's like if you project positive and more alkaline hydrogen, heavenly features like love and these kind of emotions, it actually lightens your heart. It actually changes because you're made out of water. You see? So you change the atoms, the atomic structure of them, and then they've actually looked at the water, Japanese guy, and it looks more fit, golden ratio. It looks more beautiful. It looks more fractal. Because that's how it works. That disorderly stuff there's a reason ugly things make you not pleasant feeling. There's an inner beauty things can have that doesn't necessarily always show on the outside. Some people could be born with naturally bad genetics, but they can, shine what's within. They can build that up, and it literally will change their outer dimensions, make them look more good. They'll have a shine in the skin. They'll look 10 times better than they were when they were born. I'll tell you that. That's the power of God. It's called health. It's called life. It's alkalinity. It's hydrogen. It's heaven. It's really just that simple. And that's why they're trying to dry up the sky. It's chemtrails they be putting up there, they dry out the sky as well. They're literally trying to cut us off from life itself. They're trying to block the sun and block the hydrogen, the water. It's very evil. So, he took that dust, he put the water in, and gave it life and all that stuff. And Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man. You see, eastward. Eastward means into the future. Most people can't do that. So this is obviously somewhere into the future manifestation or heaven. I'm pretty sure it's just heaven, like another pocket of heaven. So he basically made another little pocket of heaven called Eden, where he put the man that he had formed. And out of the ground, the Lord God to grow every tree. See, now he's manifesting everything. I think what he's doing is he's making a little prototype to see how it works. Based on everything I've been seeing, that's how he works. A tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. And the tree of life also in the midst of the garden. Nope, you got everything there. This is a place that branches off to everything where he's at. It's obviously heaven. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden. And the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life, aka, that's the waters above. That's the tree of life. Clear as day now, I see it. And the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that's earth. Like if they eat that, they ain't gonna end up dying. That's gonna take them down the hell. Into lower realms. That's literally why the fucking snake. The lower parts of the waters, the lowest parts of the waters, the basest part of the brain, the doubt. Oh my God. Literally, it's what came up and was just like, are you sure about this? You sure about that? And he got to the female side, to the clone side, the weaker side, the possibilities. Other possibilities. That's amazing. That makes sense. So it's just fear. It's just like they're always trying to get people to be in that lower state of brain state. Because you got two nerve sides to your brain, really. Either you're in the growth side where you're growing because it's the tree of life and you're relaxed and all that kind of stuff, or you're on the other side and when you're on one side, it casts out all fear and all that kind of stuff. Like the Bible says, perfect love casts out all fear. But also when a person's on the fearful side, they cast out, they stop feeling good, they're in that negative side, and their adrenaline's pumping and all that kind of stuff. They're just ready to, go at it. Just wasting away kind of. But they're manifesting that inner power. That's why you'll have people that are weightlifters. They'll try and get their adrenaline going, get that fight or flight thing going, so they can lift something. So they can, they're just pushing more energy out. They're manifesting what was within. That can drain you to death, though. So it's probably just another part of the process of manifestation. Maybe just lower manifestation and less good and not even needed, but maybe it served the purpose, And the Lord God, basically to know good and evil. I guess that's what the end of the causing is, exactly. Yeah. Because then they would know, like, okay, I don't want that. I want to go back. Well, that all makes sense. And the river went out of Eden to water the garden. Do you see this? So Eden is the source of the waters of that these rivers are coming from. The name of the first is Pison. This encompasses the whole land of where there's gold, you see, because of the heavenly nature that affects these areas. It makes these things grow. And the gold of the land is good. There's beryllium and onyx stone. Name of the second river is Gihon. Seems to encompass the land of Ethiopia. And then you look at Ethiopian people, just because they're close to this area, it's like the power of God protected them. They're literally the only country in Africa that didn't get conquered, and that's why they're still called Ethiopia. I've heard that all of Africa was called Ethiopia before. That's why it says he made you as the Ethiopian. But also, that's miraculous. And when you look at those people, they have very Fibonacci swirl factors to their faces. That's why people always think I'm Ethiopian. I'm just part Ethiopian. Not even a big part. But and the name of the third river, and that's why they said Joseph looked so good, because he had this Fibonacci swirl look to him. And they said it was only God can make someone look like that. Even the queen, the kingdom was trying to get him and stuff, and set him up and all that, because she couldn't get him. And the third river was Hiddekel. This is it which goeth east of Assyria. And the fourth is the river Euphrates, and we all know Egypt had endless gold. So yeah, this explains why that part of the planet is so fucking rich, and why everything seems to have come from basically that part of Africa and all that kind of stuff, and why they're trying to control that area, because it's like seems like maybe heaven's like right above it or something. It might be like the core of the planet or something. Maybe everything's moved since then though. I'm always, perfectly honest. It says amazing in this four, like the four winds of heaven. And it's just amazing. And then, the cherubim that blocks them from going back up had four heads, like the four cherubim, the four wings of the cherubim. The Lord commanded the man. Okay, and the Lord took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. On the day that thou eatest therefore, thou shalt surely die. Because the tree of good and evil is going to bring them down to the waters below, where it's pretty much nothing but death. If we know this place, it's eventually you're going to die down here, because it's just the way this world is. It's like a ticking. It's like one of those time things where you can flip it and the sand starts going out of one end to the other. It's like once you're here, everything you had from the other world is going to eventually run out. It's all just watering down on you, giving you your life for a while. But since you're down here, it's going to eventually run out. It's just trickling out. That's how this place is. But if you're in the waters above, it's endless. This is constantly coming. You're not cut off from it. You're not divided from it. So he knew once they ate from that tree of good and evil, they were going to surely die. And he wanted to see if they would actually follow his command. You know, this is a test again. He's just testing it. That's what this is all. Like this one lady said, this is all just a thought experiment. Based on what you believe, your world is going to be strongly shaped by that. Like you're going to do things based around what you believe. That's why they always try and come up with these lies so they can shape out what people believe. Like the Bible says, you walk by faith, not by sight. You walk by a lot larger by what you believe and what you intend as well. Because what you intend, you get to the point where you know you can shape your reality. Then now your beliefs become your own. But there's a order, there's a logic to that as well. So you can't betray truth. So you have to follow truth, and the truth is God is, and all this other stuff. You'll eventually come across that as you ascend. That's what happened to me. That's how I got led to God. It just happened naturally. I just kept getting all this stuff telling me, like return the source, and the only source I knew. You know, it tells you what you have to. Like I told you, it's miraculous guidance, the power of King. Some people ignore it, and then they hide in darkness, and then they end up in a really twisted fictional world, like it becomes their own hell. Well, and other people embrace the truth, they die daily. The person that they once were died once they accepted that new truth, and they shedded who they once were. Some people can't do that. Some people can't be born again. They can't let go of who they thought they were. They can't let go of their ego, who they think they are, who this false world has told them they are. This world of fiction. So, you gotta be willing to let go of that shit and be born again. And believe in the truth. And the truth will set you free. And to give you light, and so you'd have a life more abundantly, light. The children are my light. If you want to see Jesus, you got to see him and believe. He's the light of heaven. I've already shown you where he is. He's the light of heaven. So you can look up there, believe, you'll be in a good situation. Things will start to work better for your life. You'll be born again. You died. You gotta start working. But don't turn your back on God. Don't get cut off again. Things might get worse for you. Anyway, so the Lord commanded him, saying, "For every tree God remains freely, but the tree of knowledge of good and evil." Basically, these trees are all spirits. These are all different spirits. All these different trees in heaven. All different spirits that sin. You can eat any of them, but not that other one, not that one piece of shit one. It's gonna lead you down the trash. But the tree, they shall not eat, they'll die, or whatever. And the Lord said, it's not good that man should be alone. I'll make him to help me for it. Out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast, the field, and every fowl of the air, and brought them on to Adam. You see? Now you see the purpose of animals. This is why animals are very useful for plowing the land and just inspiration and all kinds of things. Like they could serve all kinds of purposes, and they did for the Native Americans. Just think of like the movie where Avatar, how at one with nature they were, and the animals served them like they were God, and they were just at one with nature, and they had like all this advantage because of that. That's what God intended them for, was to serve man. And out of the ground, Lord formed it. Look, the Lord said, "It is not good that man should be alone. I'll make and help me for him." I'm gonna tell you who your girlfriend is and why she's got a lot of time with them and why she's weird every certain time of month, because she's a little bit more animalistic, a little bit more foundational. And out of the ground, the Lord formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air and brought them on to Adam to see what he would call them. Whatsoever Adam called every living creature, there's a name thereof. Where did he get them? Out of the dust of the ground. Out of the ground. Where did he get Adam? The same thing. But Adam preceded them. And see, the same. This is kind of playing out backwards though, because I remember he made the animals before him, the man, and the other play out. You see how it goes backwards and forward? That's because that's the way it plays out. It plays out opposite. That's why, on the beginning, but on the end. That's the only way it would work. It's always logic. That's how I could just learn from it. To see what he would call them, and whatever he called them, he called them. Okay. And also God's observing himself, trying to see what what this foundation is like, what this thing is going to be like, And then Adam gave names to all the cattle and the fowl of the air, every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found an helpmeet for him. So the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. See, they're pulling out all these possibilities, but none of them exactly match Adam. So the Lord caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribbo, one of his genes, one of his atoms, and he closed up the flesh thereof. Obviously a genome, because it's the flesh thing. And the ribs which the Lord God had taken from man, he made a clone. And brought her on to man. And Adam said, "This is now my bone and my bones, flesh of my flesh. She shall become a woman, because she's taken out man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave on his wife, that shall become one flesh." And they were both naked, and the man and his wife were not ashamed. This is the manifest perfection. These are the first 2 days, the first 2 chapters, the 2 witnesses. The waters above, the waters below. Now the waters below have manifested. But this is still heaven. The first one is really like the waters above. Like the mental, the conceptualization, the cheat, the building up of the cheat. This is the releasing of it. This is just the beginning of the releasing of it. Really like the middle point, because he releases it, it becomes the word is God, it's making all this stuff happen now, and he's trying to make it orderly, make it good, and everything's good right now. Then the next chapter, you already know what happens. That's when the other shit starts to play in. But the point is, now you understand the story of Genesis. Now what the heavens are, the order of things, what's possible. Anything's possible. I'll explain the other chapters later. So you have a good day.